and Counselor Meaghen Johnston. So how are you today, Meaghen?
I'm fantastic talking to you. I've been looking forward to this all day. It's sunny here, so the mood is shifting.
Oh, yeah, the sunshine really has made a huge, huge difference for us. That's for sure in our family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Meaghen owns Intentional Futures Counseling. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, and how you support your clients?
Absolutely. So I am a registered social worker. I did a PhD in social work at the University of British Columbia, and I have been providing individual support 7 years
Okay.
and built the practice up really from I was teaching at the university, actually in Calgary at Mount Royal University at the time, that I felt like my examples of clinical practice that I was using in my counseling skills class were getting a little outdated. And so I decided to do what I love doing, which is individual counseling, and launched a very small little private practice in Calgary. And subsequent to that, we moved back home to Winnipeg, and I decided to just jump right in and do what I love doing, which is individual work, group work, presentations, all things support for people to really move towards the capacities that they have within themselves and try to get clear on what's getting in their way as far as coping with whatever life is throwing at them.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So I am assuming right now you are getting a lot of calls from a lot of people really coping with this in a lot of different ways. Are you finding that?
Yeah, it's I describe it as heavy lifting right now from a psychological perspective for those of us that are providing support, as well as all the frontline workers, because what we see in these situations is typically we all have coping mechanisms. We all have ways that we can self-regulate, self-soothe. A lot of those have to do with connecting to other people,
Yes.
exercising, access to resources, and those have really been limited. And so in a time when fear has increased, a lot of the available coping mechanisms that people typically go to have also diminished. So we are seeing, for sure, for me, it feels like the exacerbation of pre-existing mental health issues, but also almost the mimicking of new ones coming along. So it's really hard to try to determine what is the result of the current situation.
Yes.
And what is actually an underlying maybe mental health challenge that we need to poke into a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from are you meeting clients, or are you able to support clients this way, or how are you doing it?
Yeah, so I had, because my practice was actually originally in Alberta, when I moved to Winnipeg, I had several clients that wanted to continue on, which was lovely and also forced me to get creative. And at that time, Zoom was actually something relatively new.
Yeah.
It feels like that's silly
Yeah.
to say now, but it was several years ago. And so I have been using Zoom as a platform to connect therapeutically with clients for about 4 years now. I would say it's an area of practice that I wanted to expand and develop. So this gave me an opportunity to really work with that a little bit more. And I am very surprised at the effectiveness of it,
Wow.
especially typically outside of the pandemic. My clients are rural and remote. And so that means a great deal to me that we can take support and reach it to all different locations and make it accessible. And now as soon as this really, what week are we in? I don't know.
7, 8? I don't know.
70.
I don't even, what day of the week is it?
Doesn't matter. It's Monday. It's Monday. That's all I know for sure. But as soon as this happened, I essentially just moved all of my clients online. So I do all of my sessions online. I also have shortened the sessions to 45 minutes because it feels like our capacity to be present in big emotions and to work therapeutically for myself to hold the space, but also for the clients. It felt like a really compassionate thing to do, to say 15 minutes actually is a huge difference in therapeutic space and time.
Wow, I actually, yeah, we haven't talked about that before. That's very interesting to me.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
yeah, when I think about it, just with all the distractions of home going on and
Yeah.
kids being home full time and spouses being home, spouses is particularly challenging. Um, but we'll meet about that later, not on
We
Facebook Live.
That's a
Um,
lot of the calls coming in right now.
um, but it's hard. You're right. Just even when I think about just my own work, to just have 45 minutes of non-distracted time is difficult. So to really hold that space and actually sit in my own emotions for 45 minutes without a million other things going on, that
Yeah,
feels to me like that would be a lot of work right now.
yeah.
So it's interesting.
Mhm,
Now you're also balancing homeschooling and a million other things going on. How are you
mhm.
managing with all of that?
I use a stapler every morning
The staple your
to
kids to the
stay.
chairs or
No, I feel like the introduction of all of the office supplies that I've bought over the years, it's just everything's coming to fruition for me, getting to use all of it. Yeah, I am homeschooling a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. And it is different every day. So the learning for me, and I think that, part of why I'm really excited that you invited me on here is because I am and you know this to be true about me, I live this work. So I am a work in progress all the time. I'm like my own little pilot study all the time, trying to test out different strategies and different
Yeah.
things that we can do to support ourselves during this time. And so
Mhm.
I'm really doing it imperfectly and changing expectations day to day based on the emotions in the family, based on my capacity. Lots
Mhm.
of different things to take into consideration each day, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely creating an opportunity for me to learn whole new ways of connecting and communicating with my kids and being compassionate towards myself.
Mhm. And are you finding that there are some reoccurring themes with some of your clients that are in similar situations? Like, I know personally, by Friday, I mean, the ability for me to be patient with my kids after having homeschooled them all week and tried to work and everything else, I am just at
Yeah.
my wit's end. And
Yeah.
are you finding some reoccurring themes that are challenges for?
Yeah, I think that the challenge, the ever-present challenge, I think, for parents, is this idea that we can do it perfectly and that we can do it, and that we know what we're doing. That's the other.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there is a science of parenting, but I can tell you that there isn't a science of parenting for this,
yes.
other than what we know about love and belonging and building connection and acceptance and those kind of core, what we want to develop as core beliefs in
Mhm,
with our kids and for our kids. But what I would say are the common themes, Renee, are really around expectations and expectations that are grounded in maybe how I was as a learner or as a student, and
mhm,
expecting that my child would be the same. So there's
mhm.
a lot of in some ways projection that they should be able to do it the way that I did it, and maybe they should be as excited about school supplies as I am, and they're not.
Right, yeah.
The other one is, and I'm hearing this, I've heard this a few times now, and it's important. It's that parents are starting to feel concerned about their children's learning styles. And so I'm hearing some like they just seem so distracted and and they're starting to almost tiptoe into assessment. And I'm just
Mhm,
slowly pulling them back and saying, like, right now is really not the time, nor do we have the skills or the capacity to properly assess our own children. And
mhm.
so staying out of comparison with other
Yeah,
kids, with yourself, with other parents, with other homeschools that are set up and posted all around social
yeah.
media.
Between siblings, I bet too.
Oh,
That's
between
I have to a lot.
siblings,
Yeah,
huge different learning needs.
yeah.
And then the other one, so the comparison, the expectations, but also really just trying to not get hooked into fear. And that's a big one, not just for parenting
Mhm.
and homeschooling, but not letting fear really run the script for you day to day.
Yes, that's such good advice.
Mm.
Um, Now, on the weekend, I know I watched a special on the BBC, and they were really, really talking to the fact that this was a physical pandemic, and it's really turning into this sociological or, psychological, sorry, I guess is the word, pandemic. And, call centers, they were interviewing people in a call center in Italy, and it was just overwhelmed with people talking about things as terrible as suicide and, just absolutely overwhelmed. Do you anticipate that that's really going to be something that, across the board, governments and people like you are really going to have?
Yeah, I think there's so much that we don't know right now, but what we do know is that there are a lot of images that we will never forget that we're seeing, and that, so being cautious for sure about how much you're bringing that into your home and making choices about that. This situation parallels a lot of what we learn actually about trauma, and that one of the things that we really that happens during trauma is that we have a shattering of our assumptive world. So I'll just give you a little snapshot on it. Yeah, back that up a bit. So if you're my client and we're meeting for the first time, I start asking you questions, and sometimes the questions sound really random to clients, and it's kind of fun because they're wondering, what are you really getting to? And often what we're doing is we're trying to get a sense of what is Renee's assumptive world? What does she believe about the world? What are her philosophies? What are her root beliefs? So that I can understand, get into your world a little bit more. So one of the common, there's many different ways to think about assumptive worlds, but one of the ones that I think about a lot now is we are born into a family, and we build an assumptive world, and our assumptive world can be something like the world is safe, and I can take risks. Okay. So those are, if you take risks, you do things, you feel safe and secure. Another assumptive world might be the world is risky, I need to keep myself safe. So you play small, you keep in two very different assumptive worlds. For assumptive world one, the world is safe, I can be big and risky. What we have now is what we call a shattering of the assumptive world, right? The world doesn't feel safe right now.
Yeah.
And so the work isn't in pretending that, I think about it as like a crack. We don't pretend that there isn't a crack in that assumptive world. We actually have to realize that we've got to step over it, and we have to rebuild that assumptive world again on the other side of it. So some of the predictability that we want in the world isn't here, right? We don't have the same, we can't predict what's going to happen. None of us can. So yes, I do think, to answer your question, I do think that the psychological ripple effect of this is going to go on and on. I think there are, I don't work in the area of intimate partner violence, but I do think that there are, we're all very aware, and that there are a lot of situations in homes that are very unsafe. And so that's something that will, again, have a ripple effect. But I think just the isolation, the feeling like everything can be taken away so quickly, all of those things we're going to be, reintegrating back into a new reality, not back into our old assumptive world. And that's the work that we all have to do.
Yes. So now if you had sort of three pieces or three key things that we could think about on Monday morning as we roll into week 8 and week 9 and God knows how many more weeks, what would you put out there?
What I would put out there, the first thing that I would put out there is what do I need today? So not what do my kids need, what does my partner need, what does my work need, what do I need today? So put your feet on the floor, knowing that the first needs that you're going to take care of, replenish. It's like the oxygen mask analogy, right? Is your own. And so taking care of self and having that agency to take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself then means paying attention to the things that we're saying, the stories that we're making up. And so one of the interventions or techniques I use is narrative therapy. So talking about what are the stories that you're making up about this. So if I put my feet on the ground and I'm immediately thinking about printing off homeschool sheets and doing something for clients and making meals and doing all of those things, and then the story that I start to make up is, if I don't do this, nobody else will. And if my kids don't get their sheets printed off, then they're gonna fail the grade, and on and on and on. Really pulling back in, being present to the moment. What am I in control of right now? One of the things that I do when I start to feel anxious is I actually do a really quick check. I say, am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Do I need to step outside and get some fresh air? And on days that don't go well, I go back through and I say, what went wrong? Like, where were the places? So I actually do a little, almost like an analysis of what
Mhm.
went wrong and try to correct it the next day. So really taking control of what you can control,
Yeah.
managing your expectations. I'm probably not good at one, two, three. I'm probably better at just being messy like this and trying to pull it together for you. Maybe
Okay,
you
no,
can
I
pull a
love
one,
it.
two, three out of that.
Yes, absolutely. No, I love it. I mean, I do feel like you were riding on my shoulder this morning as I was printing the homeschool sheets, working on mortgages and making the
Yeah,
lasagna for dinner before 7
right.
a.m. But you know,
Yes. Yes, I
yeah,
know. And I think that and so the other piece that I'm encouraging people to think about is really being aware of, if you're doing all of that and you're doing it from a place of, this needs to get done. If I can get this lasagna made, then I can focus in on this and my kids can. And if it's internally driven and internally motivated and it gives you that sense of control, cool, that's great. If it's about an external audit, like, how am I going to look to the world? How am I going to, I'm going to post this bread and I'm going to post this workout and I'm going to, if that's why you're
yeah,
doing it, then that's getting into more of an unhealthy pattern of, right, overfunctioning
yeah,
and perfectionism.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now,
Mhm.
you're showing up for your clients in a really unique way on Thursdays, is it? Can you tell me
Yeah. So I
about
started,
that?
yeah, one of the things that I became very apparent to me quickly as we shifted into this is that I had to, when I talk about taking care of yourself, this is put your money where your mouth is. I couldn't do 5 clients a day anymore. I knew that
Mhm,
my energy level and my ability to be ethically supportive to people
mhm,
was not 5 sessions a day. So I've
right.
limited to 3 sessions a day. And what I did then was I decided to open up a free session on Thursdays from 12 to 1 here in
Oh,
Winnipeg
awesome.
through Zoom. And I just post the link on my Instagram and my Facebook. And it's an invite to clients, but also to anybody else. And quite honestly, I would say I have maybe 6 or 7 clients that come regularly. And most of the people I might know through the community or I might have some connection to, lots of people I
Mhm,
don't even know at all. So it's wonderful. What we're doing in that time is very skills based. So I'm doing some teaching. I love to teach. I'm taking
okay.
concepts from, I'm a certified Daring Way facilitator. So I'm taking concepts that I'm using in this pandemic that I've learned through the work with Brene Brown and
Yeah.
looking at creating some conceptual awareness. So, what is it? We've done things like perfectionism, we've done worthiness, belonging, but then moving it actually into something actionable. So, a skill based
Yeah.
action moving forward to try to integrate into your week.
Mhm. So useful right now. That's what we need, right? Because I really do think, and just so everyone can see, if you want to check the link for Meaghen's Thursday call, it's
Oh, there.
counseling. It's scroll on the bottom. Um, and so, yeah, I think that's what we need right now, are strategies. Because
Yes.
you know what? We've never done pandemic before, right? Like, I haven't
Yep.
read that self-help book,
Nope.
Pandemic Survival, right? And so I think, honestly, that's so helpful, and I just think it's just such an amazing way to show up and
Mm-hmm.
meet your client base where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is we need some strategies. I know I'll be logging on to that Thursday call. Um, well, thank you so much for your time today, Meaghen. I have a couple of hot seat questions for you. Are you ready to answer them?
Yeah, hot
Okay.
seat.
What was the most recent app that you downloaded on your phone?
Oh, the most recent app that I downloaded on my
Yeah.
phone. You know what's coming to mind for me? Knowledge Hook, because it was for my kids' school. I know
Okay. All
it's
right.
not
No, that's fine.
exciting.
That's fine. No,
Yeah,
I thought it
Knowledge
was
Hook.
gonna be some crazy workout app. Megan's known for, so she loves the workout apps too.
Do love the workout apps. I did actually just recently sign back up to the Peloton app. So does
Okay,
that
good.
count?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
What is the last local business that you ordered from? Oh,
Well,
your earrings.
Tavi, yes, my favorite local woman who creates beautiful jewelry. And
Awesome.
she and I have a working relationship as well. She's a lovely woman that works at the United Way, where I volunteer my
Amazing.
time. And so I often order from Joanne and love to wear them. So
Oh,
that's
they're
that's the
beautiful.
latest. Thank you.
They're beautiful. Awesome. And so we already talked about how many kids you're homeschooling,
Mhm.
2.
Mhm.
And now, so that was one of my hot seat questions, but we already talked about that one. And then the other question that I had for you is, what are you missing the most about human contact?
Oh, hugs, like, just, like, awkward touching hugs, for
Yes.
sure. No question.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Well, do you think, my last question, I guess, just to circle back, is do you think that the way we provide support like this via Zoom, do you think that is just really going to become more commonplace after this?
Mm.
Or do you
Uh,
think,
yeah, I think that do you wanna ask the rest of it? Do I
well,
think
I was just gonna say, I mean, it feels pretty good to get one of those awkward hugs, though.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not a believer that it will take the place of human connection because we're hardwired for connection. We need that. I believe that this is a break from maybe some of the many of us, and I know I for sure, I had way too much on the go. I was running from activity to activity and busy, not really meaningful connections, but seeing lots of people every day.
Mhm,
I think there will be some efficiencies to be gained from this.
mhm.
I am not, I am hopeful that actually we'll appreciate human connection a little bit more after this. And so we might be a little bit more strategic about who we connect with this way and who we connect with in other ways.
Yes. I think that's amazing, and I think we can leave it on that. That's some sage thinking, I think. So, well, thank you so much, you guys. If you want to check out more with Meaghen, you can tune in on Thursdays to her show.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time today. I
Thank you
really
for having
appreciate it.
me.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.